everybody. Oh my goodness, it's been a while. And I am so sorry. I have been very, very busy. I did post a little video about my booth and giving it an update and some windows that I upcycled and things like that. So that's what I've been doing. But welcome to my channel. I'm Jenny. I talk about random things that pop into my head. You do not have to agree with me, but I do ask that you be polite if you want to make a comment about it in the comment section below. So, yes, welcome back, however that relates to you. I want to talk today about tipping culture. Now, you know, we got that big, beautiful bill that President Trump just signed, and so there's no tax on tips. And then I heard somebody, and I don't know if this is actual fact or not, but I saw a short little video. Somebody was saying that it's cash tips, and that people haven't been claiming their cash tips anyway, so, you know, it was like no big deal. I don't know if that's a detail in it or not. I really haven't looked at it, but I do know that there's a lot of people in an uproar about tipping culture, and that's what it's being called now, tipping culture in the United States. And I think that it warrants a good discussion. Like, everything I'm seeing right now is people are getting really mad because they have to tip because they went into a walk-in food establishment, ordered something at the counter, got it in a bag, and left the store, and they're expected to leave a tip. And my personal opinion is, when you walk into a store and you buy something and they put it in a bag, you don't tip, okay? Because tips were meant for service, okay, that somebody provides to you. Okay, right. So there's certain professions, not just food waiters and waitresses and bartenders. We know that they work for tips, but other service industries as well, such as hairdressers and barbers, massage therapists, manicurists, pedicurists. You know, I get my nails done and I tip every single time, both my manicurist and the person that does my pedicures too. I tip them every single time, and I tip well, because remember, I was a hairdresser, so I know how important those tips are. And I tip well at restaurants as well, because traditionally waiters and waitresses didn't even make minimum wage because they were expected. And this may be one of the reasons why he's made this law, but they were expected to claim their tips, and so those tips compensated for that minimum wage. So in effect, he's forcing restaurant owners to start paying some kind of a decent wage to their wait staff. Just saying, that's my suspicion. But anyway, I do want to know how everybody feels about the tip culture, because it does seem like some of this is ridiculous. You know, when you go to a store, I'm trying to think somewhere I went recently. Yeah, I did. I went into a restaurant recently, and it was a fast food, what I consider fast food. And nobody came and asked you, you went to the counter, you got your food, you sat down at the table, or you left the store. So they weren't custom making, although they probably would if you'd asked. But basically, they have made items on the menu, and you order it, and you take it to your table in little plastic baskets. And then when you leave, you take your plastic baskets over to a trash bin, and you put it on a shelf, and you put your trash in the trash bin. So the only thing they're doing for you is listening to what you want, sending the order to the cook, putting it in a bag or in these little plastic baskets, and taking your money. That's it, okay? They're not coming and asking you, do you need some more water? Would you like another, a refill on your coffee? Oh, do you need more napkins? Is there anything else I can get for you? They're not playing with your kid and bringing, they're not doing any of that kind of stuff. You sit there and you eat, or you leave. and they asked for a tip. And I'm sorry, but I don't tip people who are doing the bare minimum. Okay? Because if you're selling your product, that's what you're doing. You're selling your product. And your product is a sandwich or, French fries. And no, you're not going out of your way for me. I'm not going to tip you. You're not providing. That's not a service. That's a product. And I think we've gotten that confused. That when you sell a product, that's not a service. So on the other side of it, there was somebody who was complaining about DoorDash and having to tip a DoorDash driver. And I did during COVID, when COVID first started. I did a little bit of DoorDash, but honestly, DoorDash does not pay. First of all, you can't make any kind of decent money on DoorDash. But I made better money on Uber Eats. But yeah, that person is delivering something to your house. They're doing a service for you. They're picking up your food and they're bringing it to your house or your work or wherever you want it, and that's a service. That's a service. You should be tipping them. Okay? Same thing with your grocery deliveries. Like, I love getting grocery deliveries. It keeps me out of the store. And even with the membership that I pay to Kroger and tipping, because a lot of times the delivery comes through Grubhub, one of them. It comes from one of them, not Grub, maybe another one. I can't remember. Doesn't matter. A driver goes to the store, picks up the stuff, and brings it to my house. So yeah, they get a tip. And I still save money and time. And it's there before I even really start my day. So, yeah, they deserve a tip because they've been up earlier than I was anyway, but I really do want to know what people think, because I think it is getting out of hand, and it shouldn't be. When you go just into a store and you buy something, okay, and you may have some questions. It's their responsibility to answer your questions as a salesperson, right? To make the sale, because they certainly don't want you walking out. They want you to stay there and buy something. Okay? But that doesn't necessarily warrant a tip. And I'm going to tell you something else. This is something that we've gotten away from, and we seem to be getting more and more away from it, But when I was younger, there were a lot of smaller boutique type stores that sold clothing. And I know people got their panties all in a bunch about this, but I remember going shopping as a teenager and getting a salesperson who, instead of accusing me of shoplifting, I would pick out an outfit, and the next thing you know, she's bringing over a top, or maybe I had a pair of pants or a skirt or something. She'd bring me a top, she'd bring me a hat, she'd bring me a purse, she'd bring a pair of shoes, she might bring a little necklace. Like, she was bringing all these different things from the store over to pair up with this outfit. And I remember being so impressed, and it didn't occur to me, because at the time I didn't realize that she was probably making a commission. And if she could put a whole outfit together and I spent all the money on every single piece, yeah, she was going to make more money. And I think we've gotten more and more and more away from commission, and we're thinking tips. Because you see, here's the thing. The tip comes from the customer. The commission comes from the business owner. And I really do think that some of these places that are trying to get tips maybe ought to work on maybe a commission. And it doesn't have to be a big commission, but it could be like a 5 or 10% commission if they upsell. Would you like to get an apple pie today? You see what I'm saying? And you motivate your salespeople, your workforce, to actually work for you instead of the customer. We're trying to get the customer to buy, but we're not encouraging people to sell. That's what I think needs to happen. I think we need to start paying people commission, and you don't have to. I didn't have, first of all, that kind of money to buy, the whole outfit. But I went back to the store because I got good service. I wasn't treated like a thief because I was a teenager in a mall, and a lot of teenagers get treated like thieves in malls if they hang around one place or spend too much time in the dressing room, So anyway, I'm just saying that might be motivational, and y'all might be making more money. Just saying. What do you think?